everyone, welcome to this van tour. My name's Murray Livingston. I studied as an architect, but I'm now a landscape photographer. And behind me is Hamba. So I'm going to show you everything that I did to convert Hamba in 2020. It's a medium wheelbase 2015 VW Crafter. And I did the full conversion myself over about 7 months. So I've probably spent about 150 nights in this van over the last year and a half, 2 years. So let's go ahead and jump into the tour, starting with the outside of the vehicle. And let me just jump in and say, if you've got any questions, then please do drop them down in the comments below, and I'll make sure to try and answer those. So starting with a few things that I did to the outside of the vehicle, you can see over my shoulder there, I've popped on a Rhino roof rack, which has been super helpful because that actually holds my solar panels. So I've got 650 watts of solar up there. That's two 325 Panasonic panels, and those have been amazing. And then just over my other shoulder there, you can probably just make out the Max air fan. And then of course, I've also installed windows down the one side of the van and around the back as well, but not on the other side. So that sort of gives me this like panoramic view, and I'll touch on that a little bit more when we get inside the van and talk about the design and the layout. Nice birdsong here in the woods. Right, let's head into the van, shall we? So as you can see, I've got a nice generous entry space. This only comes out into the entry a little bit, and it's probably one of my favorite features actually, because I sort of perch here if I've got a nice view, have a cup of coffee. So the design of the van was basically split into two sections. We've got the kitchen area and then the dinette and bedroom area in the back half. And I think it's quite a unique setup. I haven't really seen anyone else do it like this, especially with the medium wheelbase van, not the long wheelbase. I think this is a good solution to such a small space. There's lots of details here that I've brought over from my architectural training to help make the space feel bigger. So a lot of long linear elements to help the van feel longer, as well as using a mixture of light and dark materials in different locations to make the van feel bigger. So the floor is dark, whereas the ceiling is light, and that makes everything feel a lot bigger. Likewise, with the Shoshugi Band burnt timber backsplash, that makes that kitchen feel like it goes a lot further back than it actually does. So I've incorporated a few little architectural tricks, if you'd like, to really help this space feel very generous and livable. Right as you walk in, you'll see I've got these little boxes here, just trying to make use of every little bit of space. You'll see from this angle, it fits nicely behind the fridge there, and this is basically a laundry basket, and occasionally I'll also put some shoes in there. So as you'll be able to see, I can stand straight up and down in this van. I'm 6'1". That's partly to do with the fact that this is the 2-wheel drive Crafter, not the 4-wheel drive, which reduces the headroom inside, but it's also the specific sort of wall build-up and insulation things that I've used to really make sure that I fit nice and upright, and I'm not slouching over. But the kitchen design here behind me, tried to keep it nice and simple, symmetrical, but splitting it into 3 compartments. So on the left-hand side, really nice, big, generous fridge there. And then this is all storage for pots, pans, food, etc. And this, if I just give it a little bump, the drawer's got this little latch to stop it from flying out. And then knife roll for all my cutlery, utensils, etc. And then everything's cut into a little plywood platform there to keep everything from rattling. And I've also got all these nice little felt pads to stop those from jingling about when I'm driving as well. And then on the left there, it's the grey water tank, bin, all the stuff that makes the kitchen really nice and functional. And then on top, the 2-burner Thetford 12-volt gas stove. So this is a really nice functional kitchen. I've got plenty of workspace over here on the left, and also plenty of storage overhead. The inbuilt storage spice rack, so that fits all of those perfectly, as well as all the coffee gear, a little bit of whiskey, of course, and olive oil, etc. So those are on nice soft close hinges as well. Nothing rattles around, everything's got a place. That was a big thing in the design process, was making sure that everything had a place to give this van its sort of clean aesthetic. I didn't want anything out and about. The other thing that I've paid careful attention to is in some of the woodworking details. So this whole section of kitchen here is actually cut from one sheet of plywood, so all the grain actually runs through, which is, I think, quite a nice detail. And this is probably a pretty good example here of how that grain match flows through the different cabinetry. So another one of those little details that I quite like is in the entryway, you'll notice the boards run up and over. And then as we get into the kitchen, everything runs from left to right. So it's basically inviting you in and then turning you to go into the main living space. So moving over into the dinette area, there's actually a little step up here, and that's to make those benches the right height to sit at, as well as giving me extra storage space under those benches, which meant that under there I can fit a 75-litre water tank, and under here I've got loads of storage and also all my electrics. And then you'll see right there is my table leg, which is sort of one of those telescoping ones, and it drops down onto a rail. So when that table drops down, I've then got this huge sleeping area, which is wider than a king size, or is it a California king? Some ridiculous width across there, although I actually have to sleep lengthways because I'm 6'1", so I don't quite fit the other way. And then just as before, more of those storage cabinets with the MaxxAir fan controller there, which is just going to this. And I really like all of these. And I really like to use these little packing cubes to keep everything nice and organized. So this one's all of my charging cables for cameras, etc. And those just go up there. And of course all my maps. And then the next one over, if I just reach over there, that's got all of my clothing, just in more packing cubes, bigger ones this time. Some nice cushions, and yeah, plenty of space back here. This is sort of the perfect area for just getting work done, editing photos, editing videos. Can have the window open or the door open on a day like today. And with that fan going, it really draws through the air, through the van, and keeps me nice and cool. And then I've got a little cover that goes over that with magnets to keep me warm in the winter months. Speaking of which, there's also a heater down there, which is just a gas Propex heater. But that's been really, really great as well. And you may have spotted it before, but that is the little vent for my heater, and that shoots out right at my feet. So if I'm working and it's really cold, that's a nice touch. And it also heats up the van really quickly, just because it's quite a small van. Right, so let's open a few things up and have a look at some of the electronics, some of the kit that I've got in here. So it's a really nice long storage bench here. And at the moment, I've just got my bedding in this side, and then I can fit sort of a backpack, camera gear, all that down there. And then further along is all of my electronics, which I'll show you right now. So if I just stand up 1 second. Basically, here we go, camera focus. Just that there is the Victron Easy Plus Compact. So that's a 1600 VA inverter charger, and it can charge up to 70 amps, but I actually have never plugged the van into shore power. And that's because I've got just here, if I spin you around, a Victron MPPT 100-50, and that's feeding the 650 watts of solar from the roof down into my battery compartment. That's the shore power plug, which I don't use. And down in there, so the 650 watts of solar is going down there to charge up 220 amp hours of lithium, which has been more than enough for the kind of stuff that I do. So just utilizing every bit of space, that's just some jumpers and coats and things. So under the other bench is my 75 liters of fresh water, and I always fill that up with drinking water. Come on, Fuji. Struggling to focus there, it's a bit dark. And then I got spare linen, plenty more storage space. Then over on this side is sort of all the messy parts. I've got the pump, the accumulator. That's the on-off for my heater. I just didn't like the look of that particular unit, so I tucked it underneath the bench. And then a whole bunch of electrical wiring, which is obviously not my forte, but everything's safe, and I've had that checked. So just here on the side of my kitchen unit is my sort of control panel, if you will. So I've got my Victron battery monitor here, 100% at the moment, AC outlets, USB charging, and then touch dimmable controls for my lighting and everything from the water pump, fridge, and the heater, etc. So that's all controlled from this one point. So the only other switch is for this lighting up here, which is down by the door. I wanted one bit of lighting that was accessible by the door if I was having to leave early in the morning or something. And putting on my boots just there by the door, then I can reach in and grab that. And that's how I placed that switch. So one of the last things, I've got this recessed LED track in here. That's sort of my main light. And then I also have these pop lights that I can have for a bit of contrast lighting. These are quite warm, and these are sort of cool white. And that's specifically over the kitchen area, which gives sort of a different light and mood to the kitchen versus the bed area. And then on the back window there and all the way around my windows, you'll see I've got these really nice handmade cork and felt window blinds. So they just roll down, and they've got these little leather tabs here which just pop open, and then that rolls down. Right, let's convert this into bed mode, shall we? So yeah, there we go. Nice and easy to swap into bed mode there. Took me, 3.5 minutes while I was explaining. So can usually do it in about 3 minutes. Nice and easy. Yeah, and I mean, jump on here, you can see it's really tall. And then if you're extra tall, you can sleep on that extended bit of the bed there. And if you're on a bit of a slope, diagonal. But it's also like incredibly wide. So yeah, really comfy. That was one of the main requirements for this, was just to have a super comfortable bed and somewhere that I didn't feel like I was camping out. A little bit of luxury to help while on the road for multiple months at a time. So the last little thing here is, if I just pop open the back doors, I can show you the garage. Kept it really simple. Basically, that side there, I've got a nice little outdoor shower, some water bottles to help fill the water tank, although I do have a fill point, which is tucked under here, and that's pretty easy. And then a nice big storage unit there for all of my camping gear, etc. And then if I just slide that across, you can see under there, that goes all the way through, and I can store a canopy, yoga mat, etc. So yeah, I just kept that storage space really nice and simple, and otherwise that's pretty much it. Okay, I hope you've really enjoyed this little tour of Hamba, and if you've got any questions, please do drop them down in the comments below. I'll make sure to try and answer everyone's questions, whether that's to do with gear or how I've built things. But yeah, please do click subscribe, give me a big thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next video. Cheers, everyone.